Greetings everyone and welcome once again to the Quantum Cafe and the Interstellar Lounge with your host here, the Cosmic Messenger, Light Body Technician, Reiki Master Teacher, and Metaphysical Activator. Wow, is it ever a pleasure to be here with you guys and this amazing vortex that's been happening. By the time I post this video, we'll still be feeling the effects of quite a few scenarios that have taken place recently, but one of them is the 777 DNA activation portal, right? July 7th with the 2023 turns it into 777. There's only been 3 times since 2012 being the first one where we've had major influxes in this acceleration zone for reactivating our dormant DNA. Phase number 1 came with us on 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar, that recent cosmic clock. So that was phase 1 integration. Phase 2 happened late summer 2017 when we had the big solar eclipse, the one that everybody went outside to go see, especially Vancouver Island here in this region of the multiverse. But that had a huge impact on the DNA structure and bringing in the 12th dimensional templates. And phase number 3 came forth when we activated the 777 DNA activation portal gateway, right? So 3 major occurrences. We're going to be feeling these for decades and millennia and infinite quantum times to come. Pretty amazing. Coupled with the supermoon that we had before it in Capricorn, I think that was July 3rd, depending on where you are on the planet. Whoa, that brings in some amazing frequencies. We're just pulling in this entire vortex, right? And rewiring ourselves. So things are really, the vibration is really increasing. The light codes that are on Earth are tremendous right now. And we're all feeling a lot of like upheaval, switching, pulling, moving, acceleration of metaphysical energies inside of us and outside. But you know, Capricorn, they can be pretty serious sometimes because they want to get down and do the work, which is precisely perfect for a DNA activation portal, right? Next month, 8/8, we have the Lionsgate portal, and things are just going to keep accelerating, that's where Earth, Sirius, the pyramids of Giza, they all line up with the sun, right? And they form galactic patterns of extreme amounts of cosmic energy that comes. It's not quite like an eclipse, but it does bring us to a whole capping scenario, and then it releases all of the energy, right? Because I think it's July 25th, that's a day out of time as well too. So those have been some amazing stuff happening. It's been an abundance of sessions. I've been doing lots of treatments and stuff here at the Star Temple throughout the summer vortex, and it's just been incredible to help continue everyone to do the work, help them for full spectrum healing in the moment for whatever they're going through on their soul's pathway, and then as well as bringing in that universal life force energy with lots of metaphysical tools here at the space, so that when we amplify and fill up you with more clean, purified energy, then you're able to heal yourself quicker and enhance all of your other natural abilities that you have, whether it's dream space, whether you're sending out signals through your antenna to the cosmos in your third eye, or just bringing in your spirit guides for some dynamic chats. It could even be as simple as meditating, right? And also recently too, I got to go to the Shinmai Spiritual Center. Just heard about it. It's a Shinto temple that you get to go visit, and Shinto is amazing. I've been fascinated with it since I was a child, which is interesting because now I fully understand the codes, which is basically that was the original indigenous, the way of life before all of the indoctrination came in the more modern epoch that we're dealing with right now, working through and experiencing at this point in time. And that was their original spirituality of just constant purification by taking in as minimal as required, right? So you just keep as minimal karma coming in, and you purify yourself continuously while staying in conjunction with nature and doing various ritual and prayer to keep that vortex going. The architecture of the building was amazing. The island itself, which is just a little bit off of the ferry terminal, I couldn't even believe it here, Vancouver Island, that this place exists. And because of all of the forest bathing and the misogi, I think it's called, the cleansing and purifying through the water. They have their ceremonial areas dedicated to that practice, right? There's only a couple beings living on the island. You go in and you're transported like you're living right in the middle of Japan. It's incredible, right? But it's timeless. It's universal. Shinto speaks of the 4 directions. So many other indigenous communities around the world have always brought that medicine forth, right? Because it is the connection of all living beings to be a part of all of that medicine meeting in the sacred center, right? Standing in your mandala, your medicine wheel, your power center. So when I came off of this experience, I went in, had some really good Shinto wisdom and knowledge shared with the priest there. And then we had a sacred morning prayer and went through the sound healing vortex as well. Took some time to drink some tea, relaxed in the space, had lunch, went for the forest walk, did all the stops at the shrines and the different spots along the way. There was a peace pole at the end, checked out where they do the sacred water ceremony, and then went back home. They pick you up on a boat and bring you back. It's pretty amazing. So through that vortex, when I came back, that's when I realized, when I got off the island, the amount of light codes and energy that was flowing through me was immense. It was absolutely incredible. So all that combined has created a tremendous shift and boosting of the frequencies in my being, and as well as for the collective as well. So I'm very grateful for that experience. It was amazing. So today I wanted to come on and talk to everyone. I'm going to jump right into the topic and get going here. So many cosmic updates all the time. I wanted to talk today about psychic surgery, what it is, what it means, how it functions in the etheric and astral planes of existence, okay? All of those astral realms, the etheric realms, which are the places that are less physical, right? They all operate on a more energetic level. Everything still is energy, but it's not tactile quite in the same way, like I'm touching my arms right now or my wrists, right? It's much different. The astral plane is like when we're in dream space, or we're going on out-of-body experiences, right? And the etheric planes are when the energy centers of the being mix, 50% or more with the energy field around us in our aura, etc. So psychic surgery is precisely coming in and doing work primarily during energetic healing treatments, but it can take place in other scenarios as well too, where your guides come in, or transdimensionals, right? Because we're working with our guides. Maybe we've got into contact with our master guides, transdimensionals working for our soul success, lineages from our star nations, possibly a high council that's sending transmissions through us, right? And the being who's on the treatment table as well too. The client, the person that you're supporting, the entity, right? So these beings come in through the astral planes, right? It could be what's known as the 9 that operate above the 12th dimension to the 15th, between us and Prime Creator, right? 13th, 14th, and 15th dimension. And they're shape-shifting, pure energy forms that come in and hold together all of the network of the original instructions and universal law, so that we can even do all of the things that we're doing, right? So you could say working behind the scenes, except they're right there in front of you. So I'm going to speak first for the sessions that I do and how that works into the realms of psychic surgery. But also, just to be noted, we could be in some deep meditation. We can go on an interstellar vision quest, right? We can be pulling in some work to be done because we invite it into ourselves during dream space. So while we're sleeping, we just have vivid visions of these beings that we called in ourselves, gave permission for to do this work, right? To come in and aid the experience, right? So it's a whole team universal affair, right? It's a multiverse. And through these galactic frequencies of energy, sound, light, they bring gifts. We'll talk about those in a bit too as well, into the vortex, so that we can perform a much higher octave of healing, but also at the same time, if we're having some difficulties, challenges, we'll say, resolving a particular situation within, then this comes to up the medicine. The sacred universal life force energies so that we can start to get that energy moving at a higher rate, because it does require more assistance. On the 3D plane, you break your leg and you snap it and you broke the bone and it's like snapped and pulling out the side. You're going to go to somebody for assistance to help you to bring it back into place, right? So the same thing happens on the astral planes, right? So psychic surgery is anything that's happening in the astral and etheric realms that comes forth through spirit guide transdimensional entities to come to do work on those planes of existence for then to enhance the healing potency process and also up the vortex, okay? So primarily what I see during my sessions is another being, right? My spirit guides will speak of those. I love them very deeply. They come over top of my body or onto the client as well, and they do a wide variety of tasks. So let's just say I have my hands, right, over top of the eyes, okay? Just gently touching there, doing some general cranial work, and then all of a sudden I get a visual of one of my guides being at the end of the table. And then they put their hands on top of their feet as well too. Very interesting, right? So then they're doubling up the energy waves. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll be at the feet. I don't know where they're going to go. They know where to go to aid in with the spectrum. But if I'm thinking something that's needed, it's usually a combo effect, right? Because it's teamwork. We're co-creating. We're working together. There's been other times where they've placed their hands over top of mine, right? 4 hands on one hand position. That will increase the vortex tenfold. Other times I've had rows of them behind me, right? And each of them are all putting their hands out, 5 or 6 of them, and then pushing those energy waves through and merging through that vortex and then sending the energy current in. When you're working with psychic surgery, if you're needing some extra assistance past the initial baseline of them coming in and assisting, because you as a practitioner or you as your own self getting worked on at night while you're sleeping or in a wide variety of ways, you're still also helping the process out. But they can come in and do some additional other work too. So if they need to push the vortex up a little bit more, then what they're going to go is bring in the color silver. And silver is, they intersync together. They're married. Silver, and then after that goes into lavender, right? And that's kind of like the most potent one. It's an emergency situation. We need to do a chelation effect, or they're completely depleted, or they're having some sort of soul crisis, right? Then that's when we bring in those additional color frequencies to do that more serious work. So if you've ever worked with those 2 colors and they feel incredibly strong, or you're seeing like little points of particulates all over the room all of a sudden, you know that you're entering that vortex. But those 2 colors, they come in and they do the work. Now, the guides can get really comical during these times, which makes it really exciting, right? So you could be bilocating yourself on the other end of the table. You have a couple of your guides coming in and doing some work, and then a transdimensional walks in and goes, "Oh, I see. You're doing some work on your solar plexus. Ooh, there's lots of emotions that are wanting to come out. And on top of it, there's some inner child healing and personal power. We're having some difficulties being able to access and express that." And they come in, and no different than being in a surgical room, or it doesn't always look like that. They come in, they got these giant needles, and they're all etheric and astral. And they sew it up because they move fast. Faster than we do. Majority of the time it comes in really quick. We're not on the same time and space sequence, right? So you can get lots of work done in a short time, or it's like ultra slow and methodical. And a lot of the times I start smiling during the session. It kind of cracks me up. It brings in cosmic laughter, right? Because they're having fun with the process. I've had other beings laying on the table and then gets inserted onto their back. Crystals, giant feathers. The sword, right? To cut through the mental sphere. All the different tools that are needed get offered as gifts to the cosmos. It's quite an amazing feature. So you can have gifts being brought forth, right? And what they do is they bring them in through the astral plane, because the astral plane, the 4th dimension, particularly the upper 4th dimension, It's always in the now, and time and space does not exist like we think it does. But the astral plane, that doesn't even manifest on any possible linear level. So you're able to bring forth it from the multiverse on any possible dimension and direction. Then it manifests in through the etheric plane of existence, which is the etheric body, right? 3 inches off the body, maybe 2 inches, known as your etheric double. And that's how all of the physical manifestation gets then shown to your physical so that it can interact with the energetic world, right? It's your physical body on an energetic level as well too, right? So we use psychic surgery to come in moments not always of crisis, but also of deep elevation, right? You're a luminary, a starseed worker. You've done this work continuously, and you know it's never going to end. And you're needing somebody to do some higher level work for you, right? So then you ask your guides to come forth. Practitioner brings those in as well, right? We can do this beyond even doing a session, right? You can do this with yourself on a continuous, regular basis. And then you can ask for that medicine to come forth so that you can do radical new templates, rewire the DNA, right? Go through the cellular networks, or even if there was a crystal placed on the body, right? Supercharged crystal, let's say some golden healer quartz. It's on the body, it's opening up the Akashic records, it's helping with, let's just say, that personal power to come out. And then what happens? The guides come in and they up the vortex, so that increases the energy of the crystal. That increases the energy flow through the hands, the chi moving through the body, the whole spectrum of the universal life force energy that waves through the room. And then it also increases the messaging. Because yes, they're performing direct tasks, helping work on different areas on the body, spiritual, mental, emotional, and spiritual, or physical. Yes, that's happening, but then when they're in the room even closer to you and visible like that, that's when all of the messaging comes in even more. Messages then sent for you so that you can do work on yourself. So you can get more insights and transmissions of where's my next soul's pathways. What are some of the core root patterns in my life, behaviors, habits, and routines that we'd like to shift, that we want to transmute, right? It may take multiple years, but they help bring that medicine up so we can have more profound wisdoms in the cosmic now, right? Now, we were talking about how it's multidimensional and it's not bound by time and space, right? Sometimes they act as transportation devices, right? They come in, literally move the table, enter through a portal, right? A whole bunch of them lifting it up, carrying it through, right? And then sending it over there to the portal. And then you get time warped to another time and place. It could be another planet that you've lived on before. It could be another era on Earth. Or it could be that you came from Tara and came down to Earth through many different consciousness falls or entering stargates, right? And so when we move to these new places, we start to get information about your Akashic records as well too, which we can get anyways doing the session, but it just opens up the spectrum that much more wider, right? Why, if we opened it up like this, wow, I'm in the Akashic records and I can see your library. And then you look at some of the books, you're like, I understand some of them, I can't translate them all. And your client, or you yourself, you're on an astral journey on your own, you only understand so much, and that's when you bring in the support team to help you move through that information. But we don't have the time during a session to go through it for an hour. Because the session's an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes long, right? Maybe an hour in some cases. Most of mine are a little bit longer. So then you need somebody to sift through the information, translate it to you quick, and then move forth, right? So that can happen. It's generally through a lot of visualization process and feeling those sensations being in the room, right? Like a big vibrational shift. Come in and do some work. But other cases where the hands get placed out or they're all around the table, just sitting in lotus position. And each of them are opening up their hands and orbs are lifting up and then sent to the client, and then it bathes them in some version of multidimensional light. from golden light to silver to you name it, right? And in an instant, the psychic surgery can be done and the guides are they're still there with you, but they're not entering that plane to then do that form of assistance, right? And when we're having any form of an astral experience ourselves, we're already engaging with those psychic surgery realms, right? Because we got to remember too, when we're not in this physical body and we're taking a break from incarnating, we've returned to the spirit realm. Well, then wouldn't we be in the spirit realm the potential performers for acting as catalysts to be psychic surgery technicians ourselves? So then in that realm, we're assisting others who are then incarnated. And see how this plays out? So we get practice doing it on both realms. They're different points of attention, and they bring in different wisdoms. If you do a quick search on the internet and you don't type in psychic surgery for spiritual healing, you're going to find a lot of that stuff that they used to air back in the day. I don't really watch cable TV anymore. That's not for me. But they would, and they might still have it on there in that vortex, but they'll put a lot of, where they pretend to pull out the organ out of the body and they put the fake blood on there and they get the person laying there and they make a big scene out of it. Whoa, you're healed. That was kind of an invasive program to then steer us in the other direction of really what psychic surgery is all about. It's coming in and rewiring your being so that you can become more vibrant, more healthy, radiant, robust, and the full you, connecting into your higher self, right? Because all of our subtle bodies are alive. So whether you're using the astral body, the spirit guides, transdimensionals, beings vying for your soul success, mentors out in the astral realms, or you're using your higher self or other essences of you, your plasma body, your Hova body, you bring them forth and through, and they all perform different work, right? You can overlay. I love talking about this stuff because psychic surgery is so magical, so infinite, and so endless, right? So you can do, like, the possibilities are endless, like I just said. So what I'm promoting out into the vortex is to expand your mind, expand the possibilities within you, that you can do a whole host of multitasking at the same time. Try it sometime if you ever get an experience, or if you're getting a session, then bring that in while the session's going on. Lay your higher self over top of you. Ask your guides to come into the session. You don't control them, they do what they want. But like to come in beside you, to place their hands on you, well then you project out your astral body and then bring in some universal life force energy, plus you had a visual of, wow, I feel like I'm transported to a desert now, and there happens to be a pyramid over there, right? That is all in those realms. But when it comes to like acting like a surgical vortex, like you're in the hospital situation, that's one of the ones that comes in the most. Oh, we're just going to sew this up and readjust and snap that back into place. Okay, cool, guys, put a Band-Aid over top of it. And it's like the most epic, glowing bandage that's put over top of it imaginable. It just kind of blows your mind because it's glowing magenta and it has, ultra quantum healing energy infused into it. So you get these, those things are called overlays. So they overlay, like I said, they put their hands over top of mine, they lay them on top, they overlay them. They're overlaying the gifts or the objects that they're using. And these objects can shapeshift, they can move, and they can animate. It's absolutely incredible. Now, because they're not bound by time and space, so they can have one tool in their hand, and to us, 30 seconds later, all of a sudden it's morphed from a crystal to plant spirit medicine. It might change 10 times, it might change once. You don't really know how the vortex is going to go, and no two occasions with psychic surgery will ever be the same. That's the beauty of the astral plane. That is the beauty of the etheric realms, right? Because once in a while, we need to get in there and do some work. And sometimes they're really far away from the table, right? Distance is way over here, like farther than my hand reaches. And that's because things are being beamed at the table through the auric field, right? Because it doesn't matter if you're actually touching the body to do the work of the psychic surgery, right? You have specific crystals, tuning forks, vibrational elixirs that can all go and enhance that experience to bring in even more in the moment. Because once the psychic surgery starts to take place, then what happens, at least myself as a practitioner, a light body technician, I come in, boom, I enter the field. We go in, and now we go, oh cool, this is what's been happening. Okay, cool, so we've transported through a portal, use the pyramid, we're now inside of a pyramid, and there's a garden all around below us, and the guides have their hands all over the body. Well, then I'll come in, I'll be the one in the auric field, then doing some of that medicine, right? Ooh, this tuning fork would be perfect addition to be bringing it in for an exact situation, right? So you're doing a dance. You want to dance with it and work through it. If you have a scenario where they come in and they move really fast and you couldn't even keep up with what you saw, you'll feel the effects after. But don't rush the process. Only if it's going at a medium pace, then you just let them do their thing, right? Or they might be doing like tons of quick work around you. I've had work done on myself while I'm working on a client. They're going to primarily focus on who's getting the healing, but you're a part of the process too. No matter where we go and what we do, that moves into that vortex, right? So it's a pretty special experience when you get an opportunity to have that unity within mixing with the psychic surgery realms. It's nothing to fear. It's nothing to be scared about. It's in fact, quite a beautiful, monumental event. This means that there's profound healing happening on the deepest level possible, and you're getting to do some amazing work, right? Because not all of it is a crisis moment. It could also be the elevation of your consciousness. It's bringing in new realms of self-awareness or opening up the gateways so that you can have a big, massive wave of universal life force energy come through you that's been waiting for you. Maybe there was a blockage and they opened that up and it just felt like, wow. In these cases, I've come home. I can feel the particulate tingling all through me, right? It's psychic also too. Why does it use the name psychic? We've talked about the surgical aspect. But it's psychic because you're using your antenna. You're using the visualization process. You're seeing the movie reels go on in your head. You're also just got your eyes out, which are connected to your third eye chakra, right? And by looking with your eyes, you just see it in the room. You feel the vibration move. Maybe it's oscillating more. And that all connects us into that same similar field, right? Okay? So that's the realms of psychic surgery. Just give you a little taster of what it's all about. Thanks for listening, everyone, today. I'm glad I could come on and share some more wisdoms with you in that realm. If you haven't had an experience with it before, you can't really rush it or make it happen. It just kind of happens. But if you want to initiate the process and go deep, set that intention before you get a multidimensional energy treatment from a practitioner. Or if you're doing a self-healing modality, invite those frequencies in. Or perhaps before you're going to sleep, ask for the guides to work on you at the perfect time and space sequence that works for you, right? That are only working for your highest good only. Bring that in and go forth through the vortex. There's a lot of ways that you can invite that in, and then through time and practice, and when your soul gets to that place where it's ready, it'll come. Sometimes when you least expect it, but that's interesting because that's when you were exactly needing it and when your soul knew to expect it. So take care, everyone. I'll be back with some more videos soon. And stay cosmic. And Lionsgate Portal 8/8 coming up. That's a big one. Enjoy. Take care, everyone.